Hey, Catherine Powell. Hey, Catherine, can you hear me? Catherine? Hello? Hello? Okay, there I go. What's up, Catherine? What's up, everyone? I know that a lot of people may be asleep, and again, I'm doing some things different, some things that really make some sense, you all. Um, I just finished watching Filthy Rich, Jeffrey Epstein's documentary. And when I tell you that I'm glad that I read the court documents as well as seeing this documentary, if you have not seen Filthy Rich, Jeffrey Epstein's documentary, I will tell you right now, go and see it. It is on Netflix. And when I tell you it's disturbing, it is disturbing. It's so much that I want to talk about on this. And then I'm going to talk about Larry Reid because I heard him say some things about church and I don't agree with it. And I'm going to talk about that. But you all, this Jeffrey Epstein thing started in the 90s. And before we even get to the victims, they did a study or they did some background on him. And according to the documentary, Epstein was born in Coney Island to working class people. He was not born into wealth. Okay. Wasn't born into wealth, but was very smart and moved up some grades. He said that he went to college, but it wasn't for him, dropped out 2 years. Okay. He worked at a prestigious private school as an instructor. What was really interesting about this place was that you had to have a degree to work there. But some way he finessed his way into getting that job. Because this school was a well-known school, an elite school, it caught the eye of some people, and a financier got in contact with him. And they trained him, and he did really well. Now, the guy who trained him said that he regrets giving this man his wealth because they found out that he lied about his education, and he finessed his way into telling this man that he didn't want the school to know that he wasn't who he said he was, and just finessed his way into this financial situation. And he caught on very quickly. Also, he was with a guy who was doing a financial Ponzi scheme. And this is how he was getting his money, you all. He got his money a lot of ways. But what was interesting is the guy who lived in Ohio, who was over the limited, Wexner. And let me tell y'all something about Wexner. Wexner is a big name in Ohio. When I tell you, what's up, S. Hutchison? It's good to see you. Somebody asked about you. When I tell you that Wexner has a hospital named after him in Columbus, Wexner has buildings at the Ohio State named after him. This man owns, like I said, the Limited and Victoria's Secret. He was this guy. And this is where a lot of the models and things come in. But this is the deal. They gave they tried to indicate that Epstein was bisexual and that this man and Epstein had something going on. And this man gave Epstein a whole lot of money to invest. Now, this is interesting because we're gonna go somewhere with this. So I don't know what Epstein has on this man or what he had on this man or what have you, but it was huge. This man is known. And again, this is dealing with reputation. This is dealing with reputation. And so this is how he comes about and gets his money, and he expands this money. So he came from nothing. He was born again, Coney Island, finagled his way into a prestigious school, and it's like he conned his way to the wealthy and just did things. And my thing is, I don't think he was really trying to be like them, but I think he was using them, and we're going to talk about that. Okay, so they asked him the question, was he bi? Because they say he had a very unusual relationship with Wexner. And this man was fronting him a lot of money. And that's what it came down to. They were asking him that question. And of course, something was going on. But this man has had some traumatic upbringing. Then they asked him the question, was he ever uh, uh, assaulted or did he have any engagement with somebody doing things to him? And because he was a narcissist, he got really agitated when he could not control it and just went off, which I thought was very interesting as well. But interesting. Then we see the victims. And this man dealt with people. First of all, they were young girls, middle school, high school. I didn't see anyone over 21, and people were usually, 21 was the oldest, but it was a lot of people who were 14 and 15, and a lot of these people had no money. They had traumatic backgrounds before they even met him. A lot of them had broken homes, not all of them, but a lot of them had broken homes. And again, he knew this, and he and Maxwell would talk to these people and get them to share information. And that information would kind of give them a signal of how they need to treat these people. It was just unreal. And a lot of these people wanted the money. They needed the money. They were very shocked at what they had to do. And if they didn't want to do it, he would have them recruit people. It was almost like a Ponzi scheme in the financial world. It was almost like a Ponzi scheme of gathering people. So these people became recruiters for him. And if he really liked you, it went on and on and on. And I'm telling you, it was deep. It was deep. It was deep. And how he would use these people. One young lady's sister, he promised her that he would send her sister to study in Madrid, Spain. Come to find out that he was doing the same thing to her, and that's when she left. One lady came with a couple of dollars in her pocket from a foreign country, and she met one of the girls who would recruit, and that's how she got into it. It was just crazy. They talked about the private islands and all of these things. It was so much about control, and the people were scared because this man had a lot of power. And I'm going to tell you how I believe he got a lot of this power. And this is why I tell subscribers and people to be wary of folk. Even on these YouTube streets, I see the same MO of Jeffrey Epstein that people use to manipulate other people. And it may not be SA, it may not be It may not be SA, it may not, but it's control. And a lot of this comes down to control and power and making people feel helpless. And that's what you hear from these ladies. I just felt helpless. I just felt helpless. I just felt helpless. And you know, and he made me feel that he was the only thing. And another thing, he had so many connections. He had connections all around the world. Now, I'm gonna tell you what really bothered me. So um, it got to the point where West Palm Beach start to investigate him in West Palm Beach, the police department in West Palm Beach. A lot of his employees had some issues, like the man who worked on his island, who he swear he saw Bill Clinton, and he said he know what he saw. He told us where he and Epstein and Clinton was when they were talking. You know, it was a lot of stuff, but a lot of the employees started talking because they were very concerned with the young ladies that, or young girls that were coming to his households. And again, the girls would go in and they would say they thought it was odd because he had all of this erotic artwork. And again, you know, everything that the court case said, it made sense. And it's one thing to read it, but it's another thing to see these people in person. It's another thing to see how they look. It is. What's up, S. Hutchinson?
Hey Jay.
Hold on for a
So
minute. Let me
I
turn
was
you up a little bit. I can't hear. Hold on. Okay,
oh
what's
okay.
up?
I thought it was me. Can you hear me now?
It's still low.
Okay, let me come right back on because I don't know. I
Okay, because
shouldn't
it's
be
low.
low.
Okay, let me make sure it
Okay.
ain't my volume, but it's low. But you all, so it was really deep. As such as I'm okay, it was really deep how you know, these women just felt helpless, and the employees just, they didn't feel good. And I was hearing the tapes and everything because they did have it, you know, they had the transcripts, and I was reading the transcripts. And it's interesting that West Palm Beach got involved and they started talking to people, and a lot of people didn't want to talk because they were very afraid. But Palm Beach got involved, you all. And what bothered me, hold on for a minute. Let me see if I can hear now. S. Hutchinson,
Yeah, do I sound better now?
let me come back in. It may be me. Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. Hold it down and I'll be right back.
Okay, I got you. Oh, let me look on my phone too, because maybe they can tell me in the chat how the sound is. Catherine, if you're still in here, can you tell me how's my sound?
Oh, that's much better. It was me. It was probably me.
Oh, it was you. Oh, okay. Yeah, I wanted to add that with him he had this need that it didn't necessarily have to be SCX, but he needed to CUM several times a day.
Yeah, he
And
did.
it was too much for Maxine to keep up with.
And it was crazy. But the thing is, um, he had no regard for people. He had to do that. It's a lot of things that he did. And the videos that he watched, and Shirley, it was just odd. It was just very odd, but it was, again, it was about that power dynamic. Um, and I don't know if you saw the documentary, but the
Oh,
documentary
I
is
did a long
excellent.
time ago.
Is excellent. But what really got me with him, and because the documentary makes sense, and sometimes it's not for us to see things that don't make sense until you read court documents, and I'm like, okay. Um, Again, he preyed on people. He did a lot of trauma. He didn't trauma bond. He would listen to these people. And what I heard was he was very charming. He listened intently and he felt like you're the only person in the room until that time, and again how Maxwell was the extrovert and she was so charming with the British accent. Now, really to find out about her is that her dad rose through the ranks and he didn't have a good reputation, and he died in a situation where he wasn't who he said he was, but he rose to the ranks, and then he died in a situation that was kind of shameful. So I'm
Oh
seeing a
yeah.
pattern. Yeah, I'm seeing a pattern here. And so what gets me is, you all, he was so powerful and connected. And let me tell you about that. Let me get to the end of it. Get me get to the end of it. When he was unalived, as we say, in that jail cell in New York, I
Hmm.
thought it was odd, and his brother thought it was odd too. And they did an independent autopsy, and that autopsy was like, it is no way that he could do what they said he did. He had a bone, I believe, broken in 3 places, which is not like that. And the guy who did the second autopsy said, he said, I've never seen anything like this in my days of doing autopsies. And he said, it was blunt trauma. It was not by hanging. It was, according to that man, by blunt trauma. And the reason why I say that is I think somebody wanted him unalive. And the reason why is because he had cameras everywhere. He had cameras in every place. One of the young ladies said he had cameras in all of the rooms. When she was taking a shower, no,
Oh
he's
yeah.
unalive. Oh, he's unalive. Oh, let me tell you why he's unalive. Because he had too much information on people, and I believe that's how he got his money, and I believe that's how he got his power, because he probably extorted a lot of these famous folks. He has dirt on them. He probably extorted a lot of these people, and I think now with the lists coming about, it's going to be really hard because, again, um, let me say this too. Acosta, who was Donald Trump's labor secretary, who was the district attorney, I believe, and then attorney general at some point for the state of Florida, money. Somebody paid him off. What they did and how they gave him chances. He was in jail. He was free. He was still going to hotels. He was doing everything he wanted to do. And Acosta resigned because, again, it was some kind of payoff. And not only did the Palm Beach Police Department start getting railroaded, the federal government stopped talking to them, and a lot of people in the federal government got mad. And I told you all that the federal government knew what this man was doing. People had to sign off on this stuff. I truly believe that because of his money, his influence, his power, that people let him do what he wanted to do. But I think a lot of this is blackmail. I think a lot of this is extortion. Now that I look at the Wexler thing, I'm like, maybe that Wexler thing is extortion. Because, again, people thought they were very much a couple. That man was giving him a lot. He trusted that man, Jeffrey Epstein, to do a lot. And the word on the street, and it was brought out in the document, is they asked him, was he bisexual? Had he ever
I
slept
believe
with him?
he definitely was bisexual. I even kind of gathered that, in the documentary. They just were doing too much with too many people. That's just how I looked at it. And I don't think that he unalived his own self.
I don't
Um,
either.
I do believe that someone did that to him because, you know, basically dead people don't talk. And that's just the bottom line to that, right?
And let me say this. He had the unmitigated gall to move all of his money to the Virgin Islands,
Oh, yes. Yes. He moved
where
that
where
money around.
his lawyer ain't getting them lawyers ain't getting paid.
Right.
And the victims ain't getting that money. They may get it way down the line, but y'all, it was, I think, how much it was, $55 million or something to that. No, it was more than that. But he had all of those assets. Y'all, this man had so much money. And again, how do you get that much money and you weren't even a hedge fund advisor? We know about the Ponzi scheme, but I believe a lot of this
Well,
stuff again was
he faked it
extortion.
till he made it. I mean, his whole life was a lie. His whole
Yes.
life was a lie. That's why him and his girlfriend, they got along really well because her father lived a lie. So she was used to that. And then she also had a certain type of lifestyle. So once she got used to that certain type of money, she needed or wanted to maintain that. And she also wanted to move in those, certain circles. Now,
Victims
what I
become
thought,
victimizers. The people who are victims, if they don't get the help, they victimize people even worse because what she again was a, and I know people don't see her as a victim, but again, that money and what he did, and I'm telling you, it was crazy. Go ahead, Shelley.
well, I'll say this. I feel like, to me, I don't really look at her too much as a victim, because she was the one that was gathering up all these young girls,
Yeah, I know what you're saying, Shelley, but what I mean is that I think that when you are a victim and you don't get the help that you need, or you refuse it, or you don't think you
Right,
have a problem, I think that you become worse. It's almost like black people moving to Liberia. They're leaving out of slavery as free people, but then they go right to Liberia and Sierra Leone and treat those people who look just like them worse than the folk who had them enslaved.
right. I know the one thing that really got me, and this is why I really know for certain I don't think he unalived himself. This man was hanging out with Prince Charles. Okay? Like,
Andrew
Prince Charles had, huh? Yeah,
and Andrew.
Prince Andrew. I'm sorry, Prince Andrew.
Yeah.
So imagine if he was still here to speak on a lot of stuff like that with the royals and others, politicians, and so on and so forth. So it really gets deep. And then, you know, just the way that they turned the whole sex into a Ponzi scheme was even more
It was
crazy.
something else. But what bothered me is the young ladies were like, we were not prostitutes. We were trafficked. We did not, they were like, we were underage, and when there's no consent when someone is underage. And so the media was turning on them saying that they were prostitutes and so on and so forth and how they were treated. And that's why they liked that last judge who gave them the chance to speak even after Weinstein unalived himself, but gave them a chance to speak because he treated them with dignity. But, here you are flying these people all over the country, all over the
Oh
country.
yeah.
Hold
And
on for a minute, Shelley.
okay. Well, while he's on mute, I'm just gonna say this. The thing I thought was even more crazy is when they would go out to the private island, and the men that would be working over there doing electrician work or whatever, and how they could look, they would see, they knew something wasn't right, but still nobody really said anything about it.
Well, one of the guys said that, they started asking him, would you want your daughter to come on the island? And he had to think about that. And that thing bothered him so much that he
Yeah, he
quit.
quit.
And
Yeah,
then
that one guy
another
quit.
guy was on tape and he was talking about this to his wife. He said this was disturbing of what he said. And the guy was saying that, and that's the thing, you all. So the young lady who Prince Andrew had taken the picture with, she was the one that he was the one who was topless, that he saw on the island that was with Prince Andrew. And
Yeah, and they
so
had pictures with that one. They had a picture of the girl and Prince Andrew together. So there's no deny. He can't deny
but
he
he
don't know the
tried
girl,
to.
didn't see her.
He was
He
trying to,
tried
and he had
to,
even
but you
much given.
can't.
But let me say this: I think he was unalive, Shelley, because he had a lot of information, and he seemed like the type of person that I'm going to take you down. If this Joker can move all of his money to the Virgin Islands, and no one gets anything, this guy's conniving to do anything else. And again, I think that he was gonna go ahead and try to be a flight risk because when they found those when they found the identification and the passports and stuff, he was ready to fly the coop. That man could have lived anywhere he wanted to with all that money he had. He could
He
have
was
moved
gonna do like
anywhere.
John McPhee, which I
Yeah,
don't think is dead, honestly. Now that's a person I think is still alive, but I also think he holds a lot of secrets too.
yeah, and I think this is why these people. I think this is one of the reasons why he is unalive. You can't tell me a person as high profile as him was doing that. I think that they use those guards as a scapegoat. I think Acosta stepped down because he knew that he had a whole deal. It was people getting paid off. This man knew a lot of people. A lot of the philanthropy came through him. Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton was trying to separate themselves from him real quickly. Some people may have, been with him because of the philanthropy. But a lot of these people were involved in a lot of these rings. They said even after the first time that he thought he got off, he had another party. Woody Allen, all of these people with him, all of these people, Harvey Weinstein, all of these people. And again, you all, it's no coincidence. These people have money. These people have power. People don't like to bother with them. What bothered me too was how, now this is big, Shelley. This is big. When you start really speaking truth to power, they try to take things in your past or things that may not be flattering to use against you to discredit
There
you.
you
And that's
go.
what they were trying to do with the lawyers. They had people riding by those girls' houses.
All
They had
hours of the
all
night.
hours of the night. And I mean, because they had the resources and the money to do so. And I see the same thing again happening on the YouTube sector. And I'm going to talk about that because I'm going to talk about Larry Reid tonight as well. Not badly, but it's something he said that really bugged me. And I'm tired of people trying to put their righteousness over other folk. And I'm going to talk about that as well. But the
You
biggest
know, he's
thing,
never said well with me.
yeah, I'm going to tell you, y'all, let me say this. Let me say this. The reason why I am really stepping away from a lot of stuff that I see on these YouTube streets is because we don't have any Jeffrey Epsteins per se on YouTube. But I see some of the techniques of people feeling lonely, people needing someone, and these people are trying to fill the void, but their intents aren't right. How they can turn against someone uh like in a heartbeat, and they are using information that they get on people or trauma bonding with these people to turn around and use it against them. And I see that happened with Jeffrey Epstein, and I believe that's why he's not here today, because I believe that had he been alive, he would have turned over a lot of stuff and he would have said a lot of things. And
I'm
Alan
gonna
Dershowitz was accused of this. And what's really interesting is that girl was like, it was him. She said it was 6 years. And I don't think these girls had to lie. And I just, like I said,
no, no,
these
no, no.
are,
I don't think the girls. Now I'm gonna tell you this. Do I think that every single person that he had interactions with was not a willing, you know what I'm saying? Because there were some people that were a little bit
well,
older
some
or
people thought that he was really in love with them and they didn't want to talk to protect him because they really liked the power and the money. But again, Shelley, if you're underage, there's no consent.
right,
When you're underage, you're underage. However, those 21-year olds, they were like, no. And again, he would tell them, well, the thing with him, if he couldn't get you to do the sexual act, he would get you to recruit. And again, I guess these people were hard up for money. And he
right. A
promised
lot of them
things
girls
them.
made money and never had to do anything, and they were making big time money just by. I think the girl was getting what, $125 or $150 a person or something, like, no, $300, I think. It was
Yeah,
like 100,
I
three
mean,
hundred dollars
and
a
that's little
referral.
money for this man. That's little money. Again, that's little money for that. $200, and you worth almost $1 billion. You're a billionaire, and $200. I mean, that ain't nothing. That's like $2 to you. So he didn't even value these people, and I mean, that's what he valued from them. And it really, really bugged me with that. And I just looked at it, Shelly, and it was, I don't know. And so this is why I won't put things past these wealthy people. This is why,
Right.
as much as I don't know Oprah personally, I don't. But I'm telling you, after listening to Taraji, and then she's even talking more about how they had to get a rental car. Taraji was like, that's not, that's a liability. Taraji was like, y'all need to get a car for us to drive us there. And then they were like, well, we got to do it for everybody. Well, she said, well, do it for everybody. She said a lot, and a lot of stuff don't make sense to us. But like I said, and I gave Sean his props. Even in the show, we had rides. I didn't have to worry about any car going to the airport and back. And they, I mean, if they can do that, then what's the big deal? When you look at Harvey Weinstein and all of this stuff, I mean, these people
To me,
have
Oprah
power.
is all for self, and I think she's so out of touch with reality. And I think she feels that everyone, I don't know if she feels that everybody's on her level, so they should be able to do it. Because I remember some years back watching her show, and I'll never forget hearing her say that she didn't know that there were food banks in America. And I was thinking, even if you're not rich, how do you not know that there are people here who don't have food to eat, and there are food banks in America? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think sometimes Oprah's just, out of
But
touch like
I
that.
think people get this power thing, and again, we see it even in our sector. People get a little power and go crazy. So can you imagine when you put millions and millions and even billions of dollars onto this, and people think they are invincible? I mean, he was buying people off. I mean, and again, look, y'all, look. That man had cameras everywhere.
To be
Everywhere.
honest, I think it was only All Me Baby. I think he only gave $100 for the referrals, because if I can remember clearly, I think the girls were getting paid only like two,
200,
three hundred
and if they
dollars.
did something sexual, it was 300. I mean, you hear 200 and 300 a lot. And so, and again, these people were recruiting, and then he was making those young women accessible, accessories to his crime. So but they were underage. So I just think about that, y'all. And it makes me angry because we we don't get that justice. Justice is not equal. This man got a slap on the wrist. He didn't even do his probation. Well, he didn't even do his jail term like he should have. They were giving him work release. Now, you be an SA in the state of Florida and just regular Joe Blow and see if they're gonna give you work release and let you go out for 12 hours. And then they show how much he was paying the people to watch him an hour. I
Yeah,
mean, people were making
he
45 to
was
fifty
living
dollars
it
an
up,
hour.
and he was living it up and doing what in the world he felt like doing. That's what was really going on with that so-called work release. So that was just a whole bunch of bull crap, and that would never happen to me or you if
And
we
it
had
just
some
goes
type
to
of
show you
charges.
that justice is not there. Had they not found that passport and those fake documents, he probably would have flew and been gone, and we would have heard or it would have been something else to extradite him because he had enough money to fight it. And that's the whole thing. And I just, y'all, it just goes to show you that this is why a lot of victims don't come forth, because these people are powerful. These people can make things happen. They were talking about that young lady. She was moving all of these places, and Maxwell found her and would send and call her and say,
Private
"Hey, I know where you are."
investigators.
I mean, private
Yeah.
investigators. I'm like, y'all. And so again, this is why I'm mad at people to be playing these games on YouTube when it comes to grooming and all of this stuff that they're talking about, because see, real victims are really going through. and this is what people are doing, and then it just bothered me. So I watched it, and like I said, it's called Filthy Rich, and it was talking about Jeffrey Epstein. So y'all need to watch it. It was different. So I looked at the court documents, and I happened to see the documentary, and it just made sense. And then to see, put the names and the faces, these were young girls, and he had the guy with the modeling agencies, and they were bringing people over. So not only were they doing, uh interstate, but they were doing global trafficking.
Oh
and
yeah.
and could you imagine these wealthy, well-to-do, prim and proper people? Now we're finding out that, hey, this is what you've done. And I'm talking about financiers. I'm talking about people all over the globe. And I'm gonna tell you, that Wexler thing got me. You can go look up Wexler's. Wexler's is a top hospital. It's named after that guy who has all of that money. He has one of the largest homes in Ohio, almost the country. And this is where Epstein was going. And that's
I
what
think a lot of these rich people who go out here and buy these private islands and all of this other stuff, I think a lot of them are out there doing a lot of illegal activities. You know, they go out there, they have money. Too many people aren't going to ask questions. But what I also wanted to add is a lot of these men who try to get power from women, it's because they have insecurities within themselves, right?
hmm
So with Jeffrey, remember when the lady started describing his penis and he was all upset about it
he
because,
got very upset.
yeah, he was upset because but in his mind, even though he was throwing them some money, he felt like he was really the guy, he was really the whatever, but they were just doing it for money. They weren't really impressed by they were grossed out by him, to be honest. That's how they felt,
Well, come
most of
on,
them.
look at Prince Andrew. Look at Alan Dershowitz, allegedly. These old people, it was about the money. And again, these oh God, the pretense,
Sweating all over
and
the girl. And it's the same thing with R. Kelly, right? If you go back and well, me as a woman, I go back and think about that videotape he made years back before I knew that those girls were like underage or whatever. The girl looked young as hell, but R. Kelly he had a limp peen for the most part. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of men who lack that type of power in real life, they use other things. They use money uh, to 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 have power over other people, and it's
the
sick.
sad part about it is this guy who was associated with Epstein, and to be honest, I think he probably was gay or bisexual as well, and that's what the document was really trying to point out. But these people are the ones who are over Victoria's Secret. And then we wonder why women are objectified so much. Look at Wall Street. Look at Madison Avenue, who produces a lot of this stuff. Look at the people who produce a lot of this television. And it's just, not only are they objectifying black people and women, and they objectify everyone, and it just gets me. So, Shirley, I just think it is sad overall. And what I want you all to really do, if you haven't seen this documentary, it's called Filthy Rich, and it's dealing with Jeffrey Epstein, from him lying about his credentials and how he got the money and how he got started, until when this stuff started happening, and how he met Maxwell, talks about her background, and it just goes through how things happen all the way till he is unalived. And then it talks about 2020 up until now, because the list has been open. And the thing that bothers me is, Bill Clinton, you don't have to lie, because first of all, them flight records have you on that plane, and that man said he saw you on that island. I mean, you can't, and the girl said she saw you. Now, they said you didn't do anything, but they saw you. So no need to lie. Folk be lying, and look, and Bill, let's not forget about that Monica thing. So, don't lie. But It's about power, and I think something may have happened to him in his youth, and now it triggered him to do this. And but the thing that really got me is the extortion. And I think there has, and they didn't say it, but when you have cameras all in your house, you got information. You got things to hold over people. And that's one thing he said. He said, I got stuff on all of y'all. He said, I got stuff on y'all. He said, people owe me favors. And he sounds just like Donald Trump. People owe me
Mhm.
favors. And so I'm listening to this, and my thing is, yeah, they owe you favors, and now you're in jail. And I think that people did not trust him enough because they felt that he would tell their secrets, and I will unalive you. And again, that first autopsy, what they tried to prove is saying this, but that brother said, no, I want a second opinion. And when he got that second opinion, we found out that it was blunt trauma in 3 places. So yeah. So I thought that was really, really deep. So Shirley, anything else on this? Because I'm gonna get ready to move to this next topic.
Oh, no, no, no. I doubt. Well, you can move on. I don't think I have anything else to
Okay, well, you may have some because I'm gonna say this. So
Okay, I'll
I
go on mute.
I happened to listen to Larry Reid, and he was talking about church people and how when he was growing up that you felt something, and it was some staying power, and these people now they just say they believe in Jesus and that's it, and this churchianity. Let me say this. Let me say this. Let me say this. First of all, I grew up in a primitive Baptist church and a Pentecostal church, and I've been a musician, so I have seen church. I have seen church a whole lot. I've probably seen church since I've been born. I've seen church. Now, I've seen things where people were at the mourner's bench and they called Jesus, Jesus, Jesus until they slobbed, and that's how they felt that they got it. But I think again, that's a lot of cultish groupthink type thing. Because if you don't get it like I get it, you don't have it. And my thing is, maybe people had to go through all of that stuff because they had issues with their belief. Maybe some people just say, hey, I believe that, if I confess Jesus and believe in my heart that God raised him from the dead, I shall be saved. And maybe that's what they believe. But I'm going to say this, a lot of this stuff that we were feeling was emotion. A lot of it really wasn't what we thought it was. And I don't have a problem. And I don't think you should be taking away or trying to minimize or diminish people's experience because it's not your experience. And maybe you don't realize what you're saying, but that's how it comes off. So my thing is, I am not going to diminish your experience because you felt something and you felt this and the third, but you shouldn't go and try to diminish or make somebody's experience less than. And I think that's wrong because everybody gets what they get different ways. And then you're talking about the churchianity and stuff. Let's go back. A lot of this church stuff that we did was very detrimental and harmful to people. A lot of women stayed in marriages because church people said you should stay in that marriage and God hate divorce. So this is what we see. A lot of people, again, have gone through abuse in the church, whether it's SA or physical or what have you. And what did the pastor do? They moved the minister, kept it hush hush, or blamed the victim. We've had people who just followed leadership blindly, and they shouldn't have. I just think that in this day and age, some things change. Some things should stay the same. Some things change. But my thing is, you don't have the right to talk about anybody else's experiences. I listened to how you ran your church, and I don't think that's appropriate. I don't think it's appropriate that, people have all of this control over folk. And again, I go back to that again because a lot of this stuff is control. People done told you about their life and their faults and failures, and then you have that information. I look, let's not go there and try to make what we got better than somebody else's. And another thing too, everybody want to call themselves doctor. And I'm gonna nip this right in the bud. You have no right to call yourself a doctor and it ain't earned. Now, let me be very clear on this because I'm not trying to diminish anything. An honorary doctorate degree is something that you get because you have blessed the institution with money, or you have done something and people want to honor you. Okay, that's an honorary doctorate, and it's not to be used in an academic form. I mean, you have Dr. Michael Jackson, you have Dr. Oprah Winfrey. They know they haven't earned a doctorate. It's an honorary, and that's why they get it. It's honorary. It's not to be used in an academic setting. Okay, I want to be clear. Another thing, if your school is not regionally accredited and programmatically accredited, I question it. I question it because most people who go to legitimate schools, their schools are accredited either by Southern, Middle States, New England, North Central, which is higher learning now, Western, or Northwestern. They are regions. And for religious institutions, it's usually American Theological Seminary Canada, America, or Association of Higher Biblical Learning, and then it's tracks. And if your school, and let me say this, even if your school has ATC, American Association of Theological Schools, ATS rather, and don't have that regional accreditation, you will never teach anywhere. So my thing is this, and I'm calling this out because you got Dr. Cindy Trim, you got Dr. Reid, you got, well, where did you earn it? Where did you earn it? Because everybody want to be that, but they haven't earned it. Now, if you went to St. Thomas University Theological Seminary in Jacksonville, or Friends, or some of these other places, I'm gonna tell you, most of these places ain't nothing but diploma mills where you pay and you get the degree. So that's my question. That's my question. That's my question. You know, I look at these things and I'm like, I'm shaking my head because, again, you know, I'm listening to what you're saying, and a lot of this stuff is not even contextual. We just take stuff and run with it. And then not only that, but do you think it's right that people will robocall folk to get money and talk about something? I got a prophetic word for you. Send me this, this, and the third. I mean, because people can look at the company you keep and question and say, well, do you think that this is legitimate? Do you think that this is real Christianity with these people that you hang with? Because they don't have great reputations of dealing with the sheep unless they giving some money or some type of fund. I even question it if you think that you can call and get a prophecy from somebody, because God ain't Miss Cleo. God is not call me now, and God is not, you know, a faucet that you can turn on and turn off. So I think we just need to be very careful in how we look at people's way of salvation. Now, the Bible said, if thou confess with thy mouth the Lord Jesus and believe in thy heart that God has raised him from the dead, you shall be saved. That's the Bible. And anything you try to do above that is self-righteousness, and you trying to make it. This is not a fraternity. This is not a sorority. If people really feel in their heart that they've given their life to the Lord, then that's it. See, the difference is you got to grow in grace, you got to grow in sanctification, but you don't grow in salvation. And I think we get that mixed up. And I think where people are planted and how they're fed and how they water is going to determine that. So maybe people need to leave some of these churches that are not strong in the faith or not really teaching people along. But let me say this, I don't care if you went to Boo Boo Baptist Church and all they know is Jesus wept. But if they know that scripture and that person really believes that, then I think that that's the seed, and you can't take that away from folks. So those are my thoughts. I just think we got to be very careful because everybody want to be an expert and a scholar and everything, but didn't do the work to get it. What do you think, Shelley?
I think with Larry Reid, I don't know, he's never set well with me. I also didn't like that time when I was on the panel with him, and Rico was just sitting on the panel. Rico hadn't said anything. Rico wasn't, and he was just like, oh, it's this spirit up here oh, it's this spirit up here that's just not right. And I'm like thinking to myself, your back history ain't all that great. You know what I'm saying? You hanging out with YouTubers and doing all other kind of stuff. So who are you to judge somebody? So I've just never seen it for him ever, never.
Yeah, my thing is, it's not by your righteousness. And I always say this, it's about the blood. It ain't about your righteousness. And again, I question, this thing, and I'm not I'm being real. I'm being real. I may not like you, but if you have gone through school and defended your dissertation, during it you are Dr. XYZ, whether I want to accept it or not. But see, again, I see people wanting these titles and they want all of this stuff, but they're not willing to do the work. And it goes to show you that they want to say it don't mean nothing to me. But if it didn't mean anything to you, then why would you even put it in front of your name or even mention that? And I just think it's really interesting with some people. I think that this first of all, again, even what you did or what you're trying to do to TD Jakes, it's not whether people like you or not. And people try to use these platforms and act like people are dumb. No, nobody ain't dumb. Some of us really can see through some stuff and really know some things. But it doesn't matter if I like you or not. First of all, I don't know you and I don't know TD Jakes. And I'm not a fan of either. But what I am saying is that I have a problem with you accusing this man of something egregious as what we just finished talking about. And then you show some receipts that are like, is this it? And then you act like that this person, y'all all y'all doing is talking about money. And then it's all of a sudden that people so blind that they can't see and they believe it. No, 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 no. I know that there's two sides to every story. And my thing to you in that party was, if this man was doing what you all say he was doing, and you know that there are victims out there, then it would have been appropriate to take this man to court. And if it was criminal, to file charges. But when I don't see that kind of stuff, and all, it bothers me. And then it bothers me that another victim shared this information with you about another pastor, and we heard this man admit to his wrongdoing, and you did nothing about it. You did not tell that young man to go to the police. You did not tell that young man to file a court document. You didn't tell him anything. And I find it hypocritical that you can do that with this person who was clearly hurt, who was clearly distressed, who said that one of his friends unalived himself because of this situation. And I heard that man admit and apologize. And yet y'all did nothing. And if you did do something, what you did was wrong, because you should have let that happen in the court of law. And it ain't over yet either, because now, according to Jives and getting court documents, that this person who is, I guess, the CEO and owner of the Word Network is now bringing it back up because he probably heard it. And I just think it's sad, Shelley. So I'm just tired of people trying to make folk feel like their salvation ain't worth a darn. And it's not even about you cussing. It's not even about you acting a fool over there, but it's about you acting like folk don't have nothing. And I don't agree with that. And you're
Yeah,
telling me
people
that.
also use their platforms as a form of power to push, whether it be a narrative, like the things that Tasha K was doing to Cardi B. She knew that she had a large platform and hear what she has to say, and she was using that to put out a narrative. Same thing with Larry Reid. He has a huge platform. He has a lot of people who are listening, And I don't think he's always responsible with the messages that he's putting out
I
on
don't
that
either.
platform.
I don't either. Because my thing is, like I said, I don't know Bishop Bernard Jordan. I don't know Manasseh. But I do know that they will send you stuff in the mail. They will call you. They will send stuff. And I'm like, you don't do that kind of stuff. But again, that's what they do. And let me go back to the Jeffrey Epstein thing again. Even though everything is not by SA, again, I'm seeing a lot of people taken advantage of. Taken advantage of. A lot of groupthink happens. Um, I see a lot of people preying on people who don't have means or who are in a desperate situation, and that's what I'm seeing, you all. And I just think that it's bad because I see it in the body of Christ, or what people say that, and it just bothers me because we're supposed to be empowering people, we're supposed to be helping people, and all I see is people being entrapped. And I'm gonna say this: people don't mind giving to you when they feeling something, or you're doing something, or they feel like you're empowering them and adding something to their lives. But I see a lot of entrapment, and then if you don't say what they want you to say, then something wrong with you. And the same thing that folk be accusing churches doing, they're doing it themselves. Team Enjoy Life said yes, and remember MJ's father, Bishop Jordan, tried to pay Jimmy off by asking him, "Is there anything you want?" Jimmy said he just wanted the story to be told. Okay, see, see, and you're right. You're right. Look, that Jimmy, that story that bothered me because no one would believe that man. And
Wait, who
see,
is MJ?
that's Manasseh Jordan. That's Manasseh Jordan.
Oh, okay.
Let me say this, you all. Epstein got away with most of the stuff because the victims felt that no one would believe them. This man is powerful. I got issues. I done been in and out of trouble. And who am I to be saying that this person has done this to me? And I see the same thing in church. These preachers can preach, they can sing, and folk adore them. And here you coming, putting your mouth on the man of God. You know how they do, Shelley. And people
Oh,
are
I know.
victimized. And I'm sorry. And this is why I was really so serious about that allegation and that Manasseh Jordan situation, because I'm like, I don't care if it's Bishop T.D. Jakes. I don't care who it is. If they're doing things that's illegal, nobody's above the law. And they need to really answer for this. But people are dragging their feet. I'm going to say this too. I don't know what happened to Christian Keys. I don't know if somebody called him in the middle of the night and said, I got this on you. I don't know if somebody paid him some hush money. I don't know what happened. But
Some
I,
people are thinking that he got paid hush money, but I'm gonna tell you something. Let's just say if he got paid hush money, then he's no better than the people who did it, because don't you need to make people aware of who you need to watch out for?
well, not only that, but you may not live. Let me say this. There's a lot of deaths that's been happening very mysteriously. I'm telling you,
That part.
people are leaving here in a mysterious manner. And all I'm saying is that if you see, I can't respect you when, again, Paula Abdul was a victim and she came out, she did the court document with names. Cassie, same thing. Y'all want to say, oh, they did it for the money. Well, but again, I think this Diddy thing is going to be another situation that we just saw, because again, people got power, people can make things happen, and I'm gonna tell you, y'all, I don't know, but I have read in um, some magazines and some newspapers that that young lady from Detroit said that she was flown from Detroit to New York, and and that particular person was in the studio, and she got knocked up in the bathroom. And this, and I'm telling you all, look, we just got to be careful. Um,
Here's
we
another
got to be.
thing too. When you're on top, everybody wants to be around you. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
correct.
Everybody wants to come to your parties. Everybody wants to be, in your space. But since Puffy has been going through what he's going through, I have not seen not one person come out and speak on his behalf and say, you know what? Nope, that's my brother or that's my friend. And da, da, da. They ain't said nothing. Zip.
Well, like I said, some people look. Some people do some of those
Thing.
things that Jeffrey Epstein has done, and it may not be on a Jeffrey Epstein level, but people think they have power and they're above the law, and they get this money, and it goes to their heads. And all I'm saying is, you all, even with these content creators on YouTube, Ryder lives, please listen to me, and please listen to me good. I can't tell y'all what to do because y'all grown. Because y'all grown. But y'all stop trauma bonding with these people. If you need to tell your stuff to somebody, go to a therapist where they are licensed to do this. Go to somebody who, if they spill your stuff, that you have some uh you have a way to get compensated. Y'all don't look. A lot of these people's power is having information on you, and you self-disclosing and all of this stuff. Look, don't do that. I'm even to the point where you don't even need to tell your preacher everything. You better tell some things to Jesus and a licensed therapist and move right on. Because
That part.
again, y'all, it's crazy out here. Now, I talk to Shelly every once in a while. I haven't talked to her lately, but I never asked Shelly about her personal business. Shelly don't ask me about my personal business. Shelly may say, well, Jay, you might want to watch out. But Shelly and I are not talking about this. I don't know nothing about Shelly. That what people say on YouTube, and even that like I said, that's a grain of salt because y'all know how these people are. But I'm telling you, a lot of this power dynamic, even in these B sector streets, is about control, where you can go, where you cannot go, and I just think it's dangerous, and I see a power dynamic here, and we dealing with people who I'm talking about just have a virtual platform and using their power for the wrong way. So, what happened in Miami at the Miami mall incident? I didn't see the Miami mall incident.
Child, this is one where you need Pizarro for this one. She's always talking about conspiracy theories or whatever. They
Mm.
said aliens, a 10-foot alien at the mall. I didn't hear anything about it
Oh
until they just said
Lord.
something in the chat room. So I had looked it up to see what was going on. But believe it or not, they have like some really well-known magazines and news sources that's talking about it. Rolling Stones, Forbes,
Mm-hmm.
Newsweek, The Sun, OK
Okay,
Magazine.
I gotta look it up. I didn't see it. Um, Shirley, let me say this, Shirley. I have not been on. I knew in 2024, I said, you know what, I gotta change some things up. But it's only so much you can go through, and it's only so much of the beefing and roasting and gagging you can do. So y'all, you're gonna hear me talk about things that are pertinent to us. um Even with this thing with Jeffrey Epstein, I think it's very critical to note that the US government knew what was going on, that people who had major power, they knew what was going on. They knew what was happening. And they allowed this guy to do this. And of course, you know, I can't think of his name, Dick Durbin. I think he was asking them tough questions of Acosta. He was saying, "You didn't know about this," and then the next thing you know, the complaints got so loud that Acosta had to step down because he knew about this. Y'all, it's crazy. It's crazy. I'm gonna look at the video, y'all. I haven't seen it. I'm gonna look at the video. So I'm gonna look at the video as such as you say. It sure looks real. I'm gonna have to
It
look at
does.
it.
I mean, it looks real, meaning like everything that they're talking about, like it just the police is there. And but I've always believed in stuff like that. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to look into it myself too.
Lord, I'm gonna have to look into it.
Oh, they said the airport. They shut the
They shut
airport.
down as well. Oh my God, that's big to shut down Miami International Airport.
Mm.
I'm gonna have to really check it out, y'all. So I might talk about that tomorrow. But you all just be careful. Don't let these people control you. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have admiration for people and try to, you know, have some traits. There's some people that it's like, this is a person who I would love to model some things after because I think they do this well. But stop worshiping people. Don't worship me. Don't worship Shelley. Worship God and move on. I'm just saying, you all, because um some of these people is just control, manipulation. And what the girl was saying is that the stuff was so bizarre, but they made it act like it was so normal. And again, you're like, look at this person with this house and this car, and they're flying everywhere, and it really confuses people. And this is why I don't like I don't know Oprah, but I'm telling you, I think sometimes we can even get fooled with our own folk. And I'm not saying that everybody who got some money is trying to control and manipulate people, but you just got to be careful.
It's another reason, too, that you should never be envious of what other people have because you don't know what they had to do to get it. You don't
Well,
know.
that's what Cat is saying now. Ice Cube came in defense of Cat.
Oh,
Ice Cube.
I just dropped that video like right
Yeah,
before I came over here.
Ice Cube said that now it wasn't no R scenes up in there. He said because he don't do no R scenes. But he did vouch for Cat, and then Dion Cole has vouched for Cat to say, at the end of the day, Cat slipped me $1,000, and I'm just being real with him. So I think that I think that there's some truth in a little bit of everything, but I'm gonna say this again. I think Ricky Smiley took the high road, and I think Ricky Smiley is to be respected of how he handled that. Whether you all say, well, because he was caught in a lie or not, I think he still did the right thing, and I think that's the way to handle how he did it. And we'll see what happens after that. But I think Cat got to be careful too. I know he has tours coming out and stuff, but I just think he has to be careful too because how
Yeah,
with
Cat's
Monique
been
people.
saying a lot for quite a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Um,
think, but baby, I tell you, Shannon Sharp was like, "Look, these are my friends. I had to do this. I didn't know, but he said he had a platform to say what he wanted to say. I mean, he said, and it was what it was. And the Cedric, I'm gonna tell you, the Cedric Entertainer thing blew up real quickly because the people start pulling out the videos. I will say though that there are a lot of people who feel like that jokes are not copyrighted and everything, and people be able to tell the jokes, and you shouldn't. But give people their credit, I guess. But a lot of people were upset because of that. Cube
well,
never said there wasn't a.
I like how Cat says he doesn't go and do like a rehearsal or whatever. He says he does all that stuff at his house. That way he don't even have to worry about a lot of that stuff. I remember hearing him say this, in the interview a long time ago.
Mm. Cube never said there wasn't a R scene. He said a R scene was never filmed. He
Right.
gave the example that okay,
Yeah,
well,
he basically what he was basically saying is that Okay, so basically, let me say this. He didn't call a cat a liar, and what he's saying is that it didn't happen on camera, but it was also put out there so you would think that's what's going on, like the context clues and stuff. So I literally just did a video about that before I
Yeah.
came over here.
Yeah, I think it's a lot going on, and I think we need to really listen to me. Y'all be careful about media. There are a lot of influencers, there are a lot of things, and people want you to think a certain way. Be careful of this, and just know, consider the source, consider the source and the validity of stuff. I just think that when you have the right information, you present it, and your information should be solid. And I think that I'm it's one thing to be YouTube beefing and all that stuff, but when you're telling people that somebody done committed this crime or done did this and this and this, you better be fully sure that that's what was going on. And one thing I will say about the Larry Reid thing again is Manasseh Jordan never said PD Jakes. He's talking about grooming. And I think that's another way people get in trouble, because folk be setting you up and you don't even realize it. So, that's my take on it. That's my takes on it. I just think that we really need to be in 2024 aware in 2024, who, what, when, where, how, what is the source, what's the end game, what is the objective of this, why is this coming out. Like I said, even with the Christian Keys thing, I'm very careful because I don't want to blame the victim, but on the other hand, don't victimize the victim again, because as we can see with the Jeffrey Epstein thing, these people didn't have a voice. These people felt like nobody would believe them. Here you are, you got a voice, you got a platform. And this is how you'll do it. Some people would have loved to have that platform that you had to really expose who these people are and what they are, and felt that they didn't have any power. But here you are, and you got it, and you playing with it like that. You know, that's my thing with that. Also too, I know some of y'all done hit me up again talking about beefing 313, and he's trying to blame the gays for stuff. Look, I'm gonna leave it alone. I tell you, when I said something, he was saying that I was trying to play the gay card. Nobody ain't say nothing. Not everybody trying to say something, but again, it is what it is. It ain't important to you until it happens to you, and I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna keep on saying that for 2024. It's not important to you until it happens to you, and I'm gonna leave it right there. Any last words, Shelley?
No, I honestly didn't hear what he said. And
I
I'm
didn't
not
either, and
upset
believe it or
about
not,
that.
I
So
didn't either. But I addressed that earlier because he said something, and I think he said something that was zesty and stuff, and I'm like, that's really interesting. That you would say things like this, and it's almost like you're trying to uh, diminish or low T slick shade somebody, and that was with me personally. That was me personally. But I didn't go look. And at this particular point, it seemed like that's all that's going on. And then the other stuff people talking about, I ain't really interested in, because again, we have a lot of stuff going on. We have a situation with elections that's happening that I think that is very critical that people need to look at. I'm not ecstatic about either of the candidates, but again, I'm not going to go against my interest. I think there are a lot of things that we need to be looking at. This diversity, equity, inclusion situation, we need to look at that, because again, a lot of campuses are trying to take that away, and they shouldn't. But it goes to show you that these people were really not invested in it anyhow. It was because they had to do it. So I think we need to look at that. We got that Harvard president who was kind of taken down. I'm mixed on that, because I've heard some good and bad about her. But the biggest thing is, if they say they catching her on plagiarism, I think that's a real trumped up charge, because there were some people who've done a lot worse than she has, and they're still in their position. So we're seeing a lot of things that are happening. I'm looking at how these people are doing these campaigns, and how Trump is probably going to be the nominee. I'm looking at the Supreme Court to see what's going on. And I don't know if you saw Nightline. Is it Dateline or Nightline? I think it might have been Nightline, but they
What
were talking about
happened?
well, they were talking about a woman's right to choose, and how this lady. It was two stories that really caught me. A lady that was planning to have a baby. She was very excited about the pregnancy. She wanted the pregnancy, and then all of a sudden, her water broke, and the fluid came on out, and the baby would not live, and then it would cause sepsis in her system, and she could die. And in Texas, they were saying that she could not end the pregnancy. And then there was another lady who had twins. One of the babies didn't make it, the other one was still living, and they had to get it out for the other one to live, and they were saying that they couldn't do that. I mean, so now you're having some real serious issues, and we're not talking about people who just want to end a pregnancy. We're talking about people who really wanted the children, but it's going to adversely affect their health, or affect their health of the other baby in the case of the twins. And see, this is what we're talking about. And this is why I say everything is not black and white. We want to make sure everything is black and white. No, there are gray areas. And again, this lady shouldn't have to die to prove a point. And the sad part about it, a lot of these people who are making decisions are men. And I just have a problem with that.
Yeah, I agree. I do think it should be left up to a woman to choose, whether you
Yeah.
agree with it or not. It's a woman's body. So
Yeah, my thing is, if you don't believe in abortion, then don't have one. It's just like people who talk about something. I don't believe in gay. Well, don't be gay. That's what I don't get with people, because they always got 50 things to say. I was talking too about Murphy, because people was mad because they were doing the walk it out dance at his church. But I'm like, well, if that's what they want to do, you don't go to their church. So what's the big whoop? We always got, and that's what I said. We always got something to say about that. I said that little walk it out dance ain't gonna hurt nobody, but y'all got these predators in y'all church, and y'all ain't doing that. You got money missing in the church, and people taking and stealing from people, and y'all ain't doing nothing about it. I mean, y'all got bigger fish to fry than worry about somebody doing a walk it out dance. It just really bugs me, because we can see the speck in somebody else's eye, but we can't see that big old log in ours. That's what get
yeah,
me.
I think also too, a lot of people make excuses to not have a relationship with God, or to have an issue with going to church. And I'm only saying that because I hear people say it all the time, even on social media. The least little thing, oh, that person's supposed to be a Christian and they're doing this. That's why I don't believe in people that did it. And it's
No,
like,
that's
no,
but
you're
see,
just
that's
looking for excuses,
but the thing is, Shelly, your relationship and what you do ain't gonna have no effect on mine unless you're doing something. But let me say this. Say hypothetically, if that was true about Bishop TD Jakes, what that got to do with me and Jesus?
Right? That
See,
part. That's what I'm
what that
talking
got to do with
about.
me and Jesus? See, and that's my
Exactly.
problem with people. And then your personal conviction is not everybody's conviction. That's your personal conviction. Some people don't like to wear pants in church. Well, that's your personal conviction, but you can't make everybody wear pants. I mean, wear a dress, or because you a woman and you don't like it. I mean, see what I'm saying? I just
Right.
think that people
Exactly.
work out your own soul salvation with fear and trembling. I truly believe that. Make sure that you okay with God, and make sure you and God on the right trajectory. Stop worrying about everybody else. You heard what Bishop T.D. Jakes said. He said, "Shut up." He said, "You don't know me." And let me say this. I don't know what's gonna happen, but baby, if y'all don't leave Jakes alone, I'm serious. I don't know, Shirley, but I said this, but I don't know why I feel like a lawsuit is already in the making, or it's gonna be in the making, because what they said, y'all. Let me say this: what they said about that man was crazy. Now, personally, he was doing business with Diddy. A minister being at Diddy party, but hey, that's the man's business. I don't know, but if he did something wrong at Diddy and illegal, it would have been out there. It would have been shown. But my thing is, it is what it is. Just like I don't think everybody who knew Jeffrey Epstein was doing that. Let me say that again. Everybody who knew Jeffrey Epstein, male and female, I don't think everybody was doing something. I think a lot of people was there because he was a businessman, and they were trying to get contributions for philanthropic institutions or do business. So I feel the same way with TD Jakes. But I think you got to be very careful because what y'all tried to put on that man is very serious. It's very serious, and I just think that people really need to think. And folk were running with it. And let me tell you what really got me, Shelley. And I said this, and I'm gonna say this again. Shelley, they had the man in drag in Charleston, West Virginia. They said he was run out of town because he was doing drag. Then somebody said he had a SA situation going in Charleston, and that's why they ran him out of Charleston. And I was listening to these people, and most of the people who was talking that trash, Shelley, ain't never been to Charleston, West Virginia. It
Ain't
ain't
never
nothing in
ain't
Charleston.
shot that part.
It ain't
Just
nothing in
talk.
Charleston. And my thing is, like I said, that airport couldn't handle that ministry and what they were given. They didn't have enough hotel rooms. Hell, they didn't have a convention center big enough to hold some of the events that Jake's have. So it was smart for him to move to Dallas, where they have connect. They don't have to connect the flight. They have straight through flights. You know what I'm saying. They have flights where they don't have to connect. I mean, it's nonstop. They have all of them nonstop flights in Dallas. They have hotels everywhere. Shoot, they have enough hotels at the airport to accommodate most of the people. So why wouldn't you move to a larger city that's in the middle of the country where everybody could come? I'm just saying, but people
Right.
don't think like that. Naomi Campbell was on the Epstein list, for example. I don't think folks really think she was up to anything. Of course, now let me say this though. I think Naomi Campbell, the modeling thing gets me. Now, I don't think she may not have anything to do with it, but Naomi has been involved in a lot of crazy stuff. And I'm gonna tell you, the man who owned the modeling company was in Paris, and I know he was funneling girls. And then, of course, you got the Wexler situation, who owns the Victoria's Secret. So a lot of people were promised that they were going to be a Victoria's Secret model. Now, I don't know how Naomi Campbell would fit in, but let me say this: Naomi Campbell has been in some stuff. Let's not forget that she was receiving them blood diamonds, and that caused a problem. I think that was Robert Taylor, and she was receiving them blood diamonds out of I think it was either Liberia or Sierra Leone. I think it was Liberia, and it didn't sit well with them people because again, you receiving diamonds that yeah. So she's been in some situations. She's been in a situation. And then the question was, why that man giving you diamonds like that? What did you do to get them diamonds?
That part.
See, what are you doing to get them diamonds? I don't know, but again, yeah, I'm always suspicious. I'm always suspicious. If somebody give me a major gift, I'm gonna have to let them know that, hey, you can get this gift, but look, or what's the meaning for this? Look, y'all, let me tell y'all something, and I'm gonna tell y'all this story again because this story means something, and this is how serious I am. Because again, people always trying to say, Jay always trying to weasel people out their stuff, and nope. If you give it, it's because you want to give it. But let me tell you, this happened, a true story, and I'm gonna say it again because I've told this story, but I'm gonna tell it again. I was at this church, and this woman told me, I'm not lying, she told me that she got a second job because God told her to bless me. And so I'm like, what? So one day she called and she said, I got something to give you. And it was a leather jacket. I'm like, wait a minute, Shelley.
Oh, have
I'm
mercy.
like,
I know God ain't told her to give you that.
wait a minute. I'm like, what is it? And I'm serious. I asked her what it was about, y'all. I felt very. I'm like, and it was some gifts, and she would like give me like money in my hands, and I'm like, our sister. So she said the Lord told her to give. Now this is what she said. She said the Lord told her to bless me, because blessing me, she gonna get a husband, and if she treats me right, she gonna know how to treat her husband. I'm like, what?
Mm.
So
Tell her the
Shirley,
Lord told me to tell her to go and get
now
a
Shirley,
150.
I tell her, let me say that I had to really say what, because I wouldn't. I was like, really? So somebody said she the African hookup, so celebrities can go die. Oh, that's what it is. Okay, I didn't know that. So that's what Red Pill Neo Matrix said. So look, Shirley, I didn't hear from this lady in a long time. It was about 2 or 3 months. It was about 2 or 3 months. And it was another lady at the church who was still in contact with her. And she pulled me aside. She said, Sister wanted me to give you this. And I'm like, okay. And I read the letter. And she said, just here to let you know that God answers prayer. She said, I know it seems odd. She said, I know it seems strange, because she said, many times you tried to give me the money back or so on and so forth. And I know it seems strange to you. But she said, I know what God told me. She said, I married a military officer, and we've been together and da 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 da, and we live in Alabama. And I'm like, okay. So
Mm.
she wrote a letter explaining that, but y'all, I was like, what? Because people be saying stuff, and I'm like, don't be putting stuff on God. But like I said, it's not up to me. Now that story has double fold meaning. I can't tell y'all what God done said to people, because
True.
obviously God must have told her something. I didn't see it, but it wasn't for me to see. And but when I accepted the gifts, I was very clear. I was very clear that this seems odd. And are you sure? And are you sure? What's the conditions of this? Because I don't. And I said I don't want to hear 2 months. And I'm serious. She said no, 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 no. She said I'm serious about this, because I'm like, I don't need you to be working 2 jobs for what? First of all, that already done took me out right there, right? But when that lady said that, here's a letter, and she wrote a letter, and it was 2 pages, and it really was. It was. I was happy for her, but obviously she heard something from God, and look, and sometimes it ain't for me to question about her testimony. Now I'm questioning my motives, and I'm questioning why you doing this. But if you say it's God, and you sure it's God, and I question you a couple of times about it, then okay. But I guess it was because she married, and she's still married to the guy to this day. So, and again, he done retired, and she living good. So I said, well, that little bit that you done did and blessed me with, I guess God said so. Is see now. Look, now what I'm look, let me say this now, because I don't want nobody to be coming back talking about some Jay trying to get us to get some money.
You know how that go,
Baby,
child. Let
because
them
they'll come up, the girls will come up here talking about some Jay trying. But look, I'm not in any kind of way trying to say, y'all, give me some money if you want to get married. That was that lady testimony. Now, if God is telling you something like that, then that's between you and God. But that was her testimony. But like I said, I am not soliciting any money for anybody to be getting married. That's not what I'm doing. I was just telling you how it didn't seem right to me, but yeah, so Jay Play, connect the dots. It's been in our faces, Lady O, with that school in Africa, and I've heard that too.
Yeah,
Red
that
Pill.
kind of jumped out to me when all this stuff came up too. I thought back to that happening with those girls at the school. I mean, that was
Mm-hmm.
probably like a decade ago. I mean, it's quite a
Yeah,
while
yeah,
ago.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's a lot of people like, why couldn't you do that in the United States? And then Oprah again, because because black people, it went to that point because a lot of people asked Oprah why she couldn't do that.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
remember, I just told you that she said she didn't know that there were food banks in America. So maybe in her mind, she doesn't think that there are disadvantaged, young kids here, or maybe she feels like even in the worst that we could give our children, it's still better than in a third world country. I think that's the way she's looking at it. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just telling you, I think that's her way of thinking.
Well, the thing is, LeBron James have a school, and right here in America, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, that's what I was thinking too, darling Shay. Oprah wasn't wealthy.
They
She
said,
wasn't
hold
wealthy.
up. Do you remember when it was who was it? Oprah's sister or the sister that came out? I don't remember the story because it was so long ago. But didn't they say that Oprah lied about her life?
Let me say this, y'all. A lot of people are lying about their life.
Meaning that she wasn't even what she
Let me
pretended that she was.
let me say this. I think a lot of people reinvent themselves and their stories. Um, I think that Maya Angelou is extremely intelligent. Um, but Maya Angelou reminds me of Zora Neale Hurston a lot, and
Mm-hmm.
they can really embellish. Because I was thinking, now I know Maya Angelou was definitely a calypso singer because we got that footage of her. But Maya Angelou said that she was a pimp. She was a streetcar driver in San Francisco. I mean, she did a lot. And I'm not saying that, to take that away from her, but I will say this. Maya Angelou, I saw when she got it. She was on Merv Griffin's show. I never forget. Merv Griffin was trying to shade her, and Maya Angelou came back. And this is why I know this woman is intelligent. But Maya Angelou actually, I remember when she got that Reynolds Fellows to be instructor at Wake Forest, meaning that she's a professor for life. And again, Maya Angelou did not go to one college, not one college. However, she did go to the Oppenheimer Institute, which is on, I think it's on Harvard's campus. And a lot of people have gone there and come out. But I have always thought that her story was just interesting. She didn't talk for a while. And I'm not saying that it's not true, but how do you verify this stuff? And that's what I look. How do you
Right.
verify this stuff? Because it seems like everybody has a good story. Even when Cat Williams was talking about how these people talk about they was homeless and all of this stuff and how they use these stories because that's what Steve Harvey said. Um, but now I will say that there were some people who Steve Harvey said helped him, and so they have come forward. But I'm always looking at people's stories, and that's why I tell people don't embellish your story. Don't embellish it, because at the end of the day, just be who you are.
That's why a lot of these people get outed later on because they make up all of these lies and then,
Yeah,
they get found out. So
yeah.
just be who
So
you say you are.
yeah, be who you say you are. Like I said, I've heard people say, "Oh, Jay always said how much money he got," and I've never said that. I just said that I do what I need to do. But again, I think that people think that because of XYZ, and I look, like I said, I'll never have an issue with certain things, and I'm always gonna be who I am. And like I told people, if I'm in a big house or living in an apartment, I'm always gonna know who I am. And you can never take that self-actualization of who I am or away from me. And that's what people really want you to do. But it's a real thing within themselves. And it's just like you said, Shelley, with Epstein, uh he wasn't satisfied. It was he was lacking something. And out of all that money, he still wasn't happy. It was still something bothering him. And again, they come from really abusive backgrounds, and they look for people who they could prey upon. Thank you, Tiff.
Yeah.
Wow. Shirley, a soldier. Yep, yep, yep. Well, let me say this, y'all. Look, let me say this. I don't care, because people who cool with you, they're gonna be cool with you regardless, whether you have 15 people over here or what. And I think people really get caught up in this numbers game. But let me say this: I would rather have these people here at this juncture than being at odds with folk and just going. Let me say, beefing and all that stuff is exhausting. And I just don't have. I'm like Ricky. I don't have time for it. I got things going on, and you just don't have time for that kind of stuff. So my thing is, people are gonna hang with you anyhow, and it doesn't matter, because again, like I said, there ain't no friends on YouTube. There's some people who will rock with you because they like your content. They know who you are as a person, and that's it. And that's all I gotta say. I don't have nothing to be ashamed of or angry about. Or I really don't. I'm just happy that I can do competitions and contests and challenges and be honest and fair and open and transparent about it. And I pride myself on that kind of stuff. So, and I ain't perfect, but Lord knows I'm trying to be mature. And that's what you got to do.
We on the same page. You know what I mean? And the thing about it is we only have control over what we do. No
Mm-hmm.
matter how much we complain about different things, you can't change these people.
And you're not
So
trying. And like I said, y'all, the new content is to the point. Let me say, when you change a format, it takes a while for it to catch on. Um, but I'm not concerned about that. My thing is, I'm just glad that I can do something other than roast and gag. If I want to sing, if I want to talk about this celebrity, and I won't even say a celebrity gossip. I'm seeing things that have already been printed, because gossip is when you don't have it in print. And I think that's the big thing. You see, I quote, it ain't from me. I didn't break the story. So if I saw it in the Roots, I'm gonna say the Roots. If I saw it in HuffPost, I'm gonna say HuffPost. According to TMZ, according to Filthy Rich, which is Jeffrey Epstein documentary, I am going to give the. I'm gonna tell the source. I'm going to give the citation of it, because I think it's very important, especially when it's not yours. But I am going to give opinions about it and how I feel about it, but I'm going to tell you where I got it from.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
Red
I
Pill,
understand what
I
she's
agree with
saying though,
you.
because when you switch up your your content, a lot of people won't be anywhere to be found.
Mm-mm.
But that's
Well,
okay too. You know what I
there
mean?
it is. Look, everybody has a choice that they have to make, and everybody's not going to go on the journey, and that's fine. Um, but it is what it is. I don't have time to. I just don't have time for it, Shirley. It's draining. The only reason why I know about these things, because it's of interest to me, especially when it comes to you know, the Me Too movement and all of this stuff that's going on, the politics and all of this. Now, I'm going to look at that alien thing out of Miami, because I'm interested in that. But but everybody ain't gonna go on for the journey. I just don't have time to argue and fight with people. Um, and my thing is this, Shelley. I just think it's bad when people don't want you to work, or they're calling jobs, and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me. But my thing is, you know what? It is what it is. I'm mad at you. I can't roast to gag you. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to hurt you this way. And I think that's a sad scenario. And the thing that really gets me is, again, I don't have to lie about it. You know, people, they're talking about something. You ain't no real pastor. You don't have no seminary, them fake degrees. And then they call and find out that I am working as that, and then get mad. I mean, but I don't have to lie. And that's why I'm saying the goalpost is always moved. And I just think it's really funny. But I'm to the point now where I really don't have time for it. And it was a good run. And I'm good. I'm really good.
The problem with people is they want to try to humble people, and it's not their job to humble you. It's God's job to remind you of humility. It's
But the
not up
thing
to
is,
them
but the thing
to do
is, this is
that.
a show. It was a show. And my thing is, if a show is making you feel those kind of emotions, then, because again, I don't know. I didn't ever feel that kind of way to the point where I felt that I had to humble somebody. It's what you do.
Well,
But
I think that's the goal, because I mean, even with even certain things that they do to me, I think they want to get you down on your knees and screaming and hollering and saying, please, please don't do this and that, and that type of stuff. And
mm-mm.
mm-mm.
Well, I just think that, again, it goes back to that Jeffrey Epstein thing. Don't really have control in your life, and then you're trying to control others. And that's how I look at it, Shelly. So, but I wish people the best in this 2024, and I hope all is well. But look, girl, I'm
Oh
getting ready to
yeah.
go to bed. I'm tired,
All right. Well,
but
thanks for
but I
having
appreciate
me.
it. No, thank you for coming over. I appreciate you coming over.
You're welcome.
All right, y'all have a good one. Y'all take care and good night.